Hi guys, welcome to the J&J Boxing Podcast. I'm here with Jordan Henson and myself, Aaron Joshua. We're going to talk about a weekly roundup of boxing, what's been happening in the past couple of weeks, so we can dive straight into it.
Yeah, man. There's been lots of boxing news, lots of boxing happenings, lots of boxing results that need to be talked about. And one thing I want to talk about is heavyweight prospect Deontay Wilder, amateur conqueror Evgeny Romanov, losing his O as a pro against, I'm not going to try and pronounce his second name, but his first name was Zhang. Um, a very unheralded heavyweight. In fact, they're not even heavyweights. It was a bridgerweight contest for the WBC. And a fight that Romanov was dominating, and then out of nowhere, he gets himself stopped. What are your thoughts on that?
It just really sums up heavyweight boxing. I'm not going to lie to you. Heavyweight boxing is a complete different sport to the rest of the sports in terms of weight classes. I saw the fight highlights. Romanov knocked him down, hurt him, looked like it was over. And out of nowhere, Zhang lands I'm gonna say conspicuous shot, back of the head slash side of the head, scrambled his senses, then it was over.
Yeah, I mean, like it when I first saw it, and I always feel like go with your gut, go with your gut. The first time I saw it, I thought back of the head, and then I thought that those types of shots are very discombobulating, they're very disorientating. And then once he'd been hit at the back of the head, that's when the follow up came, and he was ultimately put on the floor. So for me, it is controversial. At the same time, I always tell myself it's a fight. At the end of the day, it is a fight. So you know, the head doesn't exactly have like a line on it that says now you are, this is the back of the head, this is the front of the head. So you're always going to have a little bit of gray areas in fights.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
ultimately, I fought back of the head. But we can still talk about Romanov's career as a pro, because this fight here, in my opinion, he's 38 years old. He shouldn't even be in this fight right now.
Exactly that.
He should
Exactly.
be, he should have probably have had his career by now, but he was still beating low level opposition. He I actually like his style. I think he's very precise with his power punching. I think he punches very crisp, very clean, almost Povetkin-esque.
I was gonna say that,
Uh,
exactly that. Exactly.
but I feel he's been progressed too slow, managed wrong. Beat Wilder as a pro, then getting knocked out by this Zhang. Beat Wilder as an amateur, then getting knocked out by this Zhang guy, the B team Zhang, as a professional. And it's like, what happened to your career? But one thing I will say is I do remember him fighting that tough journeyman that Miller and Allen have fought. His name escapes me at the moment.
The
Bracamonte.
Argentinian one, yes, yeah, yep, yep, yep.
And he got hurt in that fight. I don't know if you watched that fight,
No, I
Romanov
haven't
versus
watched that fight, to be honest
Bracamonte.
with you.
He was dominating the fight, but then he got rocked at one point by Bracamonte as well. So at 38 years old, he's just lost his O. That's a shame for me. That's a shame for me, because I think if managed right, he could have been an interesting addition to the heavyweight division.
Definitely that. In terms of taking on your point, in terms of how he beat Wilder, I think they could have built it as a rematch in the pros type thing, the same way they built Joshua versus White. Like obviously White had the win in amateurs, they had the so on called rematch. Me personally, I don't really like to look at it as a rematch because pros is different to obviously amateurs. But at the end of the day, whatever sells sells. So they obviously called it a rematch. They could have done that as well. Wilder, probably in hindsight, would have probably knocked him out, as he's seen fragilities with Romanov. But regardless, it would have been a good sell anyway, because not only did he beat Wilder, he stopped him, he knocked him out. So I think, like you said, he's been mismanaged 100%. And at 38, it's like, are you going to be used now as a stepping stone, or are you going to call it quits?
Exactly, exactly. It just goes to show you can have all the talent in the world, which he does have, but if you're not managed correctly or pushed correctly, then it can be early doors or it can be disappointment. I want to talk to you about that's it. I want to talk to you about Fraser Clark versus Fabio Wardley. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I'm in the minority who I think is going to win that fight. I actually think Fraser Clark's going to win it. I think he hasn't looked spectacular in the pros at all. He looks very lackluster. I think he's packed on way too much weight, and it's not muscle, it's fat. Um, but I just can't get over the amateur pedigree and the boxing fundamentals difference. Fraser Clark is nothing spectacular, but he's I don't even want to say he's a jack of all trades because I don't think he's even that, but he's just very pedestrian at everything. Decent pop, decent speed, decent boxing fundamentals. And on paper, I think he should beat Woodley. Like Woodley Adeleye up until the stoppage was a very competitive fight, and Adeleye was predominantly fighting on the back foot. Like I think this fight as a betting person, I think I'll bet on Fraser Clark, you know. But rightly so, Woodley is the favorite. He's fought the better people in the pros. So yeah,
Yeah, you made some good points. Like it's very hard to kind of just take out of your mind that amateur pedigree, that rich amateur pedigree that Fraser Clark has subsequently collected in the amateurs through staying in the amateurs for maybe perhaps too long. Time will tell. But I mean, I remember him as a security guard when Joshua fought Skelton. I remember that, and
yeah,
he was like that when Skelton hit the deck. So hopefully that's not going to be another security guard going like this if he hits the deck. I
yeah.
hope not, because I see this fight as a very interesting fight. And it's very weird for me to say competitive fight because you got two unbeaten prospects, one who's come up through the Olympic route, and then you got another who's come up through the white collar route, which is, you know, that is really the jungle white collar boxing. When you say white collar boxing, you could actually mean almost amateur level, or you could mean guys just like in the
Guys
pub.
rocking out from the
Like,
pub, exactly that.
so
Exactly.
amateur boxing really is the wild west of boxing, which itself is the wild west. But if you're looking at the backgrounds they come from, this should be an absolute walk in the park.
Should
But
be,
we
yeah.
keep saying that Fabio Wardley should lose this fight, should lose that fight. I was looking at Nathan Gorman thinking this shouldn't be competitive.
Yeah, same, same,
I
same.
was even looking at Simon Vallily thinking if Simon Vallili's on his game, like this could be a win. And Fabio Wardley keeps proving me wrong. Against Adelai, I was thinking Adelai until the ring walking. I just saw something in his eyes and I thought, okay, I think Fabio Wardley's going to win this one. But he keeps beating people he shouldn't be able to beat. But can he keep doing that? At some point, the wheels are going to come off. And when Fabio Wardley gets knocked out, I believe it will be a real rookie error where he leaves himself open. And because of his lack of schooling, he doesn't do the right thing and put himself in the right position to either evade, block, or just get out of the way of a punch. And I think he might get knocked out and it looks a bit silly. That's my
Yes, yeah.
opinion.
The same way, kind of, the way Adeleye like went out of the clinch against Wardley and just punched him. Luckily enough, Wardley firmed it, but if that was a bigger puncher, he would have been in serious trouble because that was a rookie mistake. He thought the referee called it. The referee didn't say anything, and Adeleye took his chance. So you can't be doing that when you move up to levels, even higher British level. You can't be doing that. You definitely can't do it at European level because, in my opinion, European level means whoever holds the belt. I think the belt holder is Ajit Caballero. So you can't be doing that against Caballero.
No, no.
So I think you're right in terms of if Wardy gets knocked out or stopped, it's going to be in a very silly manner. But me personally, I'm going against the favorite. I think Fraser Clark's going to win, and I think he's going to win on points.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I think Fraser Clark definitely has the tools to win. I also think it's those steady eddies that are no special effects that can
Exactly.
sometimes get the job
Exactly.
done against someone who has sort of spark and flair, but maybe lacks something that solid
Boxing IQ,
essence behind
exactly.
it.
I do think
Um,
though that Fraser Clark needs to lose a bit of excess weight. He's just been piling on the weight ever since he turned pro. So I think because he is now, when he first started, he was a bit slow, but not too slow. In the last fight, I watched him against Marius Wack. If you're getting caught by Marius Wack, you know there's a serious issue. So he really needs to lose some weight if he's got a chance. But a fit fighting Fraser Clark, I think, wins.
yeah. And I'll reserve my prediction. I want to really think about that. I think I got an idea, but I haven't sat down and really broke it down, which is really credit to Fabio Wardley that I have to sit and break it down on a white
Exactly.
collar boxer against Olympic. So Tyson Fury has pulled out of the Alexander Usyk fight. Obviously, we haven't had a chance to talk about that on this channel, and I heard some rumors in the boxing gym that he was going to pull out. He was trying to get out of the fight. Many people on Hatman's channel were talking about how he was not wanting the fight wasn't going to happen. And I even made a video on my solo channel the day before Fury pulled out, talking about how I think Alexander Usyk may have a mental edge over Tyson Fury. What are your thoughts on this whole mess of a situation?
Well, you were the one to first raise it to me in terms of you were hearing rumors, and it wasn't like I didn't believe you. I just thought personally Tyson Fury wouldn't be silly enough or dumb enough to pull out of a fight that the public are basically backed you into a corner to take plus the Saudis. I thought you wouldn't want to ruin a relationship between the Saudis and you want to get the public back on your side. So if you're going to put out, it better be for a good reason. Obviously, when it happened, I saw it. I was on the train. I was like, yo, what? And the first thing I did was call you, obviously. Then I was just like, do you know what? Yeah, I'll be so real. I actually be so real. Although I don't like Tyson Fury, I don't trust Tyson Fury. I actually think this cut happened. I genuinely feel like this was like a mistake. He got caught in sparring, whatever. But this is a case of the boy who cried wolf too many times. You've spoken too much nonsense and too much stuff that doesn't make any sense. Now, the time it actually had happened, it's too late. You've already burnt the trust. So I'm probably in the minority that thinking it probably actually happened.
That's
But
fair enough. Yeah, it
yeah,
could be. We won't.
yeah, it hasn't helped you. And to be honest, the reason why I think it like happened naturally is because they rescheduled the date to is it May 18th or May 17th? That's a really quick turnaround. So obviously Fury wants to get into the ring. And honestly, if he pulls out of this fight, then I can't defend him. I'm not even defending him now. I'm just going what I genuinely think in it. But if you pull out of this fight, then no one is defending you. But if this fight goes ahead, then I know it's 2 months is a long time, but I just don't think it's enough to make a couple changes that happen between winning and losing the fight. So yeah, I think it's genuine, but this is just a case of a boy that cried wolf too much in it.
Yeah, very, very possibly. I mean, I wasn't there, you weren't there, none of us were there. We don't know. But at the end of the day, he has lied so many times that you wouldn't trust him to tell the time in a room full of clocks.
Exactly.
So, there's not too much sympathy. He had a go at David Hay, and now, people are come back to haunt him. But ultimately, I have to ask you this. Do you think that he's devastated that the fight's not happening now?
Nope, nope, not at all, because it gives him more time to even if you're in fighting shape, an extra 2 months isn't that bad because you can go over your game plan, you can just tick down, chill, whatever. So if anything, he's worse on Usyk's side because obviously Usyk's style relies on timing, speed, pattern, rhythms, everything. Usyk is the older fighter. Not saying he slowed down dramatically, but we have seen a bit of a steady decline in Usyk. So it's like I don't think Fury at all is angry. I know Usyk definitely is, but yeah, I think Fury's glad.
Yeah, I think Fury is over the moon. I don't think Fury has ever wanted to fight him. I do hear your point, and it's a good point if it's a quick turnaround, May, but I don't think Fury has ever wanted to fight Alexander Usyk, and I don't think he's complaining about any delay. I think the Alexander Usyk being the pure boxing pugilist and dedicated athlete that he is, I'm not worried about him having a decrease in performance in just 2 months. Tyson Fury, on the other hand, I still think that his back is to the wall. I think that he's really up against it in this fight. And I think that the worst version of Fury is fighting Usyk. And I think that Fury, even Prime Fury would have struggled with Usyk because of the stylistic matchup.
Mm,
So I think he's having one of his hardest fights when he's at his worst. And I think that is really not a good combination. But ultimately time will tell. And yeah, I don't know whether it's true, whether it's not true. All I know is that Tyson Fury is, lots of people were speculating that if he wanted this fight and all of a sudden something's happened. I hope that Usyk stays disciplined. I hope there's no Hergovich. I hope there's no Ngannou. I hope there's no Zhang. I hope there's no
yeah,
Wilder. And I just hope that we just keep focused. It's undisputed, all the marbles, and that's how it goes down. I want to
exactly.
talk to you lastly about Joshua versus Ngannou. Any developments on your thoughts? Anything that you want to talk about in regards to that fight?
closer and closer the fight is going to, I'm hearing more people giving Garnier a chance. I'm not being biased at all. I said this about Wallen that I think it'll be an easy fight and it'll stop him. Genuinely, I think this fight, people are going to be shocked at the speed difference. I think if you look at Fury now and you look at Joshua now, arguably Joshua's a faster fighter now. And I think people can't comprehend that in their mind. Therefore, they're saying, oh, if Ngannou gave Fury this, he'll do styles make fights, innit? And I think there's one thing getting punched by Tyson Fury, but there's another thing getting punched by Joshua. And I think the speed difference will be the real killer in this fight. I think Ngannou will, if you watch his feet, they're plodding. He's not bouncing around the ring, he just plods forward. And I think Joshua, who can move, his footwork has improved a lot. I think the speed difference will be the main thing. And I think Joshua will stop Ngannou. I don't think he'll knock him out cold on the floor, but I think it could be a referee stoppage or a corner stoppage from round 6 to 8. That's what I'm gonna say. I think the speed kills. I think this is gonna be a similar fight to Dominic Brazil, Joshua, in terms of Brazil was game tough, landed a couple shots, but the real difference between them two was skills and speed. That's why how I see this fight personally.
That's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. And obviously, back your cousin all the way. That's what family's for. With regards to me in this fight, I'm thinking, or I'm glad I'm not in this fight, but what I'm saying with regards to the analysis of this fight, I am thinking along the lines of this is real ABC, easy work for Joshua in the sense that if he just sticks to his basic boxing and the grounding and the schooling that Ngannou doesn't have, he will win this fight easy, and he might even knock Ngannou out without even meaning to, just doing his boxing. And I think that that is probably the best way to approach this fight. No mean in the middle, no giving Ngannou the only chance he could have in this fight, giving him chances for the counter. Just keep on the jab, keep on the back foot, but not back foot like out on the edge of the ring back foot. I mean back foot in terms of, middle of the ring, and you're circling him, but you're not on the back foot. And yeah, stick to the jab, stick to the 1-2, the 1-2-3, jab to the body, hooking off that jab. And the good thing about Joshua compared to a lot of other opponents is he actually is quite well versed in 90% of areas with regards to boxing. I say 90%, yeah, I haven't seen him go southpaw yet, but with regards to Joshua is actually quite well rounded. And
And
I
I think
think
that
that
gets on really, really underlooked when it comes to other people. I think people just look at him as a puncher, but he's a very good boxer, outbox people that have done things in boxing. So I think that really gets overlooked by a lot of people.
exactly. Well rounded. I see Joshua for a guy who's 6 foot, 6 foot 5, 6 foot 6, 6 foot 7. This guy's in the middle. See, this guy can. I'm not saying he's Mike Tyson, but when he gets inside, he's throwing combinations. I don't see Avatar heavyweights throwing. When he's on the out 3/4 range is his best range. I see him unloading combinations when he gets the extension. I see him boxing at long range against the likes of Joseph Parker, and I see him boxing and moving amateur fencing style against Andy Ruiz too. So we know that Joshua has multiple tools in his locker that he
Exactly
can
that.
he can revert to when necessary and when needed. Actually, one thing I don't think many people talk about is Joshua's actually good against southpaws. Alexander Usyk is a different kettle of fish because that's just a different. He's a unique fighter, like a once in a lifetime generation type of fighter. He is the heavyweight version of Vasily Lomachenko. They're once in a generation type fighters. But if you take Alexander Usyk out of the question, you look at Anthony Joshua against Charles Martin, you look at Anthony Joshua against Otto Wallin. You look at Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, even against Camarel. He struggled in the fight, but Camarel's a top level amateur. Like,
Look what he did to
yeah,
David Price.
look at Zhili Zhang,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, in the amateurs. So Joshua was actually pretty handy against southpaws as well. So he's actually an all-rounded fighter. And the reason I say that he's good against southpaws is because we just saw Ngannou try a little southpaw trick against Tyson Fury. I don't know if that's too clever against Anthony Joshua.
If he does that, I guarantee Ngannou's going to walk onto the dirtiest straight right hand he was. And I think it might not knock him out, but it'll hurt him enough to be like, all right, cool, I'm not doing that again. And I personally feel like Team Ngannou confident, and they should be confident. Look what they did against Fury. That's the consensus number one heavyweight. So they should be confident. But I think Fury and Joshua are a different kettle of fish in terms of punch power, this, that. And like you said, Joshua's very versatile. compared to other guys. And like you said, on the inside, although Ngannou might be the physically stronger guy, those inside combinations from Joshua, I don't think Ngannou can keep them off. So I actually think this is going to be a relatively easy fight.
It should be. It should be.
Yeah,
As long as he does what he's supposed to do, just keep sort of on like back foot slash when you're unloading, push your opponent back type of style, and just keep to the basics of boxing. If you keep to the basics of boxing, that's the one thing that Ngannou can't do.
exactly that.
Keep to the basics of boxing and knock your man out when you're not even meaning to. You're just on your boxing. You're on your box jab, jab, 1 2, 1 2 3, hooking off the jab, jab, follow through with the uppercut. And just while you're doing that, you might just drop him like when you didn't even mean to, because that's how it works.
And I want to make one more point quick. I think in terms of who would give Joshua problems, a person with a good jab will give Joshua problems. Ngannou does not have a good jab. If you watch his jab against Tyson Fury, he kind of pushes it out and leaves his chin in the air. And that's a recipe for a disaster against Joshua. Look what he did with Pulev. He slipped the jab and he threw the counter right hand.
Exactly.
I think in Ngannou's jab, if you actually watch it, it's like he pushes off the back foot and just leaves his chin in the air. And I think that's a recipe for disaster. So I think if you actually delve into this fight, it should be a relatively easy night for Joshua.
I agree. I agree. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. I think we should definitely look at some of the fights coming up and
Yeah.
actually cover them individually. Just a very, very, very quick one. I'll let you just do the talking for this one because I unfortunately need to meet someone. But listen, you just take the floor. What were your thoughts on Shiraz versus Williams? Because I know you mentioned that one.
Yeah, Shiraz Williams, good fight. I think, yeah, good fight. 1 round. I think if you actually saw the signs from Lee Williams against Eubank, I personally thought this fight would go early. Didn't think 1 round, but I thought Williams' punch resistance has gone down. Shiraz is a big puncher. In terms of the name value, it was a good fight. Big name value, but no real risk. And let's see what happens next. I reckon Frank Warren will feed Denzel Bentley to Shiraz. I think stylistically, I think Shiraz will stop Denzel Bentley and make it look quite easy to monitor view. Or you could try and make the Nathan Heaney fight for the British title, but maybe he sees it as a step back. But just fight who you can, who's in your stable, to be honest with you. Or if they do the 5v5 in Saudi, put him against Amma Williams.
Yeah, I even
So
see him versus Felix Cash. So
yeah, exactly. So let's see.
yeah, man. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed presenting it to you. We'll be back with more and more content. We're going to be racking the content up. And also make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get notifications when we come out of new content. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you on the next one.